All right, thank you for joining us for another episode of Black Coffee and Crime. This is episode number 69. We've been gone for a few weeks. As you can see, Brandy is still on location. She had a little spill, so yeah, caution tape everywhere. Caution tape everywhere. We're not to the point where we need a chalk outline, but there was caution tape involved. So she is.
The way I'm feeling today, I might need a little chalk.
She all right, y'all. She's on the menu, so you'll hear her voice, but you won't see her face. But again, thank you for all the new subscribers for 2022. We appreciate you guys stopping by to visit, and all those who are regular watchers and listeners. Thank you guys for coming back for the shenanigans and the crime and all the other BS that we find on the internet. So I didn't talk to you about this, Brandy, but the last show we did was about the two officers who were killed in Riverside in 1971. Well, I talked to someone that was around during the time, and they were like, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you tell me you guys were doing this? I could have. But it was just much of the same conversation that we were having, but it was a different perspective from someone else who was, intimate to the situation, not the actual suspect, but someone else who was intimate to the situation. And he actually told me the name of the girl that Larry Gardner was dating at the time, who supposedly was a witness and said that she was there during the planning of the ambush murders. She has not been seen since. He was able to tell me where her family lived, all of that, but she has not been seen since. So, it was like a couple of days later, and he called me back. He said, I know her name. I remember. I have since forgotten. I'm not gonna say the name because it wasn't in the papers. So I'm not even gonna say the name that he told me because it wasn't in the paper. Any of the articles that we read, so I'm just gonna leave that alone. But I do know the name of the girl who was supposedly a witness. So that's just a little aside. All right, let's get into church announcements this week. The announcements are as follows. Last year we talked about the prison ministry. We ain't mentioned it in a little bit. We still ain't gonna talk about the prison. We just, for the new users or viewers, we want to let y'all know our prison ministries have been suspended indefinitely. After the episode with Nico Jenkins, we decided we were no longer going to extend our hand out to those who are incarcerated.
He ruined it.
Yeah, Nico Jenkins ruined it for us, even though he's in Nebraska or something. No. We good. So if there's anybody who is incarcerated, we do appreciate the view. We just ain't gonna be able to reach out.
They're not accepting visitors right now because of Omarion.
Because of COVID. Well, Omarion, amen. So when you get out, hit us up. Send an email to info@blackcoffeecrime.com. or Instagram or Facebook at Black Coffee Crime. Go ahead. But as of right now, it ain't nothing we can do for you. Amen.
All right.
Nothing we can do. Like I said, Brandy's on the sick and shut in list, so pray for her and her healing. Let's see, who done passed? Andre Leon Talley, fashion icon, passed away.
When?
This last week.
What happened?
I don't
Working
know.
overtime like a crazy psychopath.
Yeah, he passed away. It hasn't, it hasn't garnered to me as much attention as you would think it would. This was the creative director for Vogue magazine. He was the guy in fashion. He made himself a fashion icon. You're talking about a queer man from the deep South. He literally made himself. I
didn't even know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nikita,
There would be no Anna Wintour. There would be no Dapper Dan. There would be no any of the Black designers. A lot of white designers. They just wouldn't.
I mean, he really was an icon. He was in so many videos. He knew
Absolutely.
so many people,
Yes.
movies. I just can't believe nobody. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Terry
go ahead.
McGlair passed on
He
too.
died. Yes, he
Who?
just died
Fashion
today.
designer.
Terry Mugler. He's a fashion designer. He does he's really big on like the construction of his couture. And he also, if not familiar with, his designs, maybe the perfume Alien that Willow Smith is now a spokesperson for, that's Mugler or Mugler. He died at the age of 73. Yeah. So it's just
we're not even over Betty White yet.
Every week is somebody.
We're not even over. If y'all know, people are still not even over Betty White yet.
How they not know?
Bob Saget, I'm
like, I still haven't processed Bob Saget.
I'm always gonna be grieving for Betty. She was a family member.
We're not, Brady, just stop right now.
Not doing it today.
We're not gonna do this, okay? We are not gonna do this.
She's yet still grieving.
Yes, and grieving process is what it is. If you need prayer, the prayer lines are always open. You can call in and get on the sick and shut in list. All of that. Just don't bother the pastor because you got to hit one of these deacons up because it's just too much for me. So y'all got anything for the church announcements? Anything about choir robes, mission trips, anything?
Well, choir rehearsal, as my son used to say, I need me a couple good singers that don't mind backing me up for my A and B selection.
We're gonna put the A and B selection on hold for now.
No, we ain't putting it on hold. We need special music.
We ain't got no musicians right now.
I just said.
No, and you also said
I'm putting the sign up paper in the vestibule for y'all to sign up for music ministry.
Ain't no money in the budget to pay nobody. We ain't got no money in the budget.
It's gonna be all people that it's volunteer work for the Lord.
Yeah, we're coming full hearts for the Lord. We ain't asking for no payment. Our reward is in heaven. That's what our reward is.
Don't nobody think like that no more. Don't nobody think like that no more.
Sign-ups in the vestibule.
And all the final approval has to go through the pastor because he might not have time for that in the sermon. We just got to get the word and move on. We got to get the word and move on. Amen. Yes, we do. All right. So those are the announcements as follows. Please govern yourselves accordingly. Please obey your ushers and respect your pastor. All right. Okay. So we're going to move right from the church announcements to something weird. A story out of Australia about a sex worker who has 2 active vaginas. 2 functioning vaginas, like they both work.
That's too much responsibility.
Oh. Way too much.
So her name is Evelyn Miller. She used to be an escort. This is a story from 7news.com.au, so from Australia. She has 2 vaginas, 2 cervixes, and 2 uteruses. And she says that she uses one for work and one for pleasure. And her favorite one is the right one. Why did she say it was her favorite?
Let me look at the diagram.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
Diagram, you know what I mean? You know that drawing? Because I need to understand.
If you go to Google,
hole, it's one hole and it deviates, one to the left, one to the right.
She has to use 2 tampons.
That's too much responsibility. Does a period come at the same time for each one, or are you just bleeding?
Let's see.
Can you imagine bleeding from both at one time?
Either way, I would rather go ahead and get it over with.
Brand, you're gonna be swamped in blood.
Yeah, let's see this.
I don't want one and then the other one. That means you're gonna be on your cycle for like 2.5, 3 weeks. I don't want that. Just get it over with.
This is the most bizarre.
Well, she can use the other one. See, that's when the other one comes into play.
So you're gonna service somebody one plugged up with a tampon and the other one is free? Like,
yes. You have two.
No, ma'am.
That's the best of both worlds, I guess.
It is not.
That is very interesting.
The right one, she says,
I wish y'all could see the picture that our resident picture finder Jackie saying, look, one of the pictures looks like a vest.
with 2 armholes.
Yeah. I'm confused.
I'm just
why you do your
He's not gonna know. She ain't gonna know. They's gonna be intertwining.
She said the right one, she's able to orgasm better with the right one, so she utilizes that one for work. Tell me this.
That would be for pleasure, not for work.
Hey, why would you use that for work?
She said that the right one she uses for work. I mean, I guess she wants to show her clients that. Do you get a tax write-off for that?
I don't know, but she said she didn't find out till she was in her 20s.
A tax? What?
Extra expenditures.
Yeah.
Huh. Work-related expenditures.
I mean,
because it's like everybody knows.
Let's just be adults here. The half the time that we are.
Okay.
The reality is, if there's 2 like this, right? Them little men that she works, there's some little men. When they go, it slides out, it's gonna go just well. Ain't no petition, she ain't gonna know. You know what I'm talking about. She ain't gonna know.
Girl, I don't know. I done felt my ovary almost fly on out of here. Home run before. So, and I can tell if it's my right or my left ovary that's getting banged to hell.
I've never felt my ovaries.
Girl, I felt like my ovary was about to just kill over and die. Like it just deflated.
Oh, wow.
Like a speed bag.
Oh, wow.
So I'm just saying, you can tell which
way. Ovary though? That's intense, sis. I'm trying to get like you.
Okay, so she can get pregnant, and she has before.
Sure, it has a baby, or just got pregnant.
Oh shit! She says, this is a quote. She says, "I fell pregnant during a foursome."
So did they utilize both holes?
Do you know who to?
And why are you up here having all this unprotected sex just because you got 2 vaginas? You can go get 2 sets of AIDS.
Well, she was filming. She was doing a film at the point at that time.
Well, now she got an OnlyFans. She making big time money.
Yeah, she says that OnlyFans set you up. Well, she is from OnlyFans.
Yes. I mean, if you could sell pictures of your feet and make money, then 2BJs is definitely a moneymaker. She says, I could carry babies in each one, but they wouldn't be the same age.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Oh, hell no.
That's interesting.
You got to go through labor twice?
Yeah, because I'm like, wait a minute. What?
Well, because you can't.
That's crazy.
Because they're not twins.
Right.
Or you can have twins in one and a single birth in the other. Or you can have twins in one and twins in the other. Who knows?
That's crazy.
I can't.
Quick question. If y'all were to do OnlyFans, what would you do?
I can't even say what I would do because it's such a good idea. I think someone would take it.
Okay. Well, I never know.
I will be singing my A&B selections. Making bank up there at OnlyFans.
Okay. Could definitely do that.
Do you think you'd be able to sustain a certain lifestyle with your A&B selections?
Hell yeah, that's a little extra money in my pocket. I can buy me a sub sandwich or something hot, a cold drink.
So how much are you charging per month for your memberships?
About $55, $60.
$55 or $60 too.
How many A&B selections do they get?
Girl, I sing them all. You just count them out. I got my mic too, and I ain't utilized that on y'all in a while. I got my mic. They could just call out selections. I'll do it a cappella. I can do it with some music.
You know what? I can't even knock your hustle. I can't even knock your hustle. If it works for you, I'll tell you guys what my idea is in the group chat. But I really think this is a great idea. But I'm not. I've been told that I can't do it.
Until you see that money rolling in.
I want to degrade men.
You don't even have to do that on OnlyFans. There's an app for that. And I've heard that women of color are very much sought after for this type of work. You can either record yourself and the patrons can call in and hear the recording, and they just pay for the recording, or you can have certain clients that want a personal message and you talk to them live and give them the business. There's a lot of money in that.
I'm gonna need you to send me that stuff. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I will help them like scum these. Huh?
It's big money in selling your used drawers too, if you want.
Yes, it is.
Again, women of color, because apparently we have different scents. They nasty. They be wanting.
That has to be for somebody who wears straws though, because
Jackie must be eating in class. I already know.
Look at her face.
Didn't I just tell you to obey your usher?
I'm just gonna sell fresh air to China. Like one guy.
What, you got a burrito or hot lick?
Bread stick. I was so hungry. Okay.
Girl, like just don't be choking on the live.
It's just like people eating crackers in church. It's okay.
I had to stop my stomach from growling.
I already know. As soon as you put that on, I was like,
The girl, you should have just bid it.
Yeah, I wish that I need to go back and pick out a part of a video from like maybe 3-4 months ago where Jackie didn't know that we were recording and she was eating. Like she didn't know we were recording. I don't know why she didn't know we were still recording. And she was eating, but she was eating like she was in third period, sitting behind the tall girl. And it was hilarious. And I was like, she don't know I could see her eating the sandwich. Boy, she was tearing that sandwich up, y'all.
I'll be so hungry because I don't eat hardly at work. So when I get off of work, I don't eat. But today I had to go see Ella Mae and George Tyler. That is my parents. And they try to keep you over there till the very last second. So I haven't got to try it. And we ordered pizza and I was like, I'm so hungry, Jenny. Please bring me a breadstick. My stomach started growling. So that's why I was like, she gonna say something.
Girl, go ahead and eat that breadstick, even on camera. Go ahead and eat. I understand. All right. So I don't think I posted the two vagina story to Instagram or Facebook, but I'll post it to our Facebook page so you guys can see that, but I'm quite sure it's everywhere. But what I did post to our Instagram page was the guy who had like 100 snakes in his house and they killed him. So yeah, hit up our Instagram at a Black Coffee Crime and see that. All right, so this week's story is about a guy that they called the Vampire of Fresno. He didn't eat anybody. He wasn't into like blood sport, but he was a recluse. He had like a David Koresh kind of cult thing going on with his family. And we're going to talk about Marcus Weston, a religious fanatic, cult leader, and murderer. So let's go ahead and talk about this. All right. So Marcus Weston was born, Marcus DeLon Weston, born August 22nd, 1946. He was into a family that were like religious. His mom was a religious zealot, basically. Brandy, was his mom Seventh-day Adventist or was his father Seventh-day Adventist?
His mom was. His dad was an old drunk. He didn't darken no church doors.
So he grew up with an alcoholic for a father, but a religious fanatic for a mother. So he's like stuck in this weird place. They moved around quite a lot. They settled in San Bernardino, California. Then they went north to Northern California. And then at some point, he settled in the San Joaquin Valley in California, which, houses Fresno. He started his sexually abusive behavior at a pretty early age. He dropped out of high school. He became like an ambulance driver in the Army. And then when he got out, he moved in with an older woman. Like, she's an older woman, old enough to where she had 11 kids. Okay. She's married. He gets this woman. This woman leaves her husband.
Yep.
And has 2 children by him. Okay. But one of her children, the woman's name was Rosario. Rosemary. One of her children was a little girl named Elizabeth.
8 years old.
She was 8 years old. And he started grooming her when she was 8. He basically told her mother that he was going to marry her when she got of age. So he was grooming and sexually abusing this child since she was 8. But somehow he had the mother's head so gone that she didn't report him. She didn't do anything. She already has 2 kids by this man. By the time Elizabeth is 14, he marries her, and a couple months later, she has his first child. She's 14, he's 27. In total, he has 10 children with Elizabeth. So we're talking 12 kids somewhere in total.
12 kids and grandkids.
Yeah, he does have some grandkids through incestuous relationships because he has children by his daughters. While he was living with Rosemary and her 11 children. Or was it 8 kids? She had 8 kids. I'm sorry, I added 3 more. She had 8 kids. Then she gave birth to 2 more, so that's 10. Her sister found herself Rosemary's sister found herself in a situation where she felt like she wasn't able to take care of her kids. Marcus is like, yeah, you can just bring them here. Everything is everything. Now, of course, remember I said that Rosemary left her husband for him. So he, he was 21, convincing this older woman that to leave her husband and have 2 kids. Her sister, Rosemary's sister, dropped her kids off with them. 7 kids. 7. So you've got 10 kids, you've got 17 kids that they have possession of. And those kids were basically his playground.
Pretty much.
His playground. He did not allow, I think after Elizabeth was like 10, 11 years old, he didn't allow her to go to school anymore. None of the other kids were allowed to go to school either. So basically, this is starting the isolation process.
He had them kids washing his hair and scratching his armpits. I don't understand the scratching of the armpits, but that was the little kid's duties, to do his hair and scratch his old nasty armpits.
It's all a power thing. It's all a power to be served.
Armpits, armpits.
But I mean, just think about it. That is the most degrading thing. It's degrading.
It is.
It's degrading. So you're having someone do a very degrading act, and that's how you establish power. Okay, let's just take a little history lesson. Think about in American slavery, because that's what the slavery that we know. Those people would have those enslaved Africans doing all manner of tasks to their body. Not because it was normal to ask somebody to do it, but because you had somebody available that you wanted to feel as low as possible. So I'm going to have you do it. What nasty shit can I get you to do today? Scratch my feet. Scratch the crust off my feet. Scratch my armpits. Like, I don't even want to scratch my armpits if I'm sweaty. Like, I gotta go with paper towel and dab, but because it's just gross. It feels nasty.
He don't look fresh.
No.
You've seen a picture of Marcus Wesson. He is the least. No.
He looks very dirty and grimy and gross.
It screams musty.
It's beyond musty. I grew up in the city, but my family is very, very country. And we used to have pigs. We didn't have them at our house or anything, but we had pigs that we would have to go and slaughter every year. And if you've never smelled what a pigsty smells like,
it smells all manner of evil.
And
they're eating it all up too.
Pigs eat everything. Okay. I know people have heard that they eat everything. They can digest everything but they absolutely eat everything. That's why people throw them slop, because they'll eat it. They eat other animals. They're really actually good for pest control, because they'll eat everything, and they're kind of mean. But the smell that they put off, because they literally, while you're raising pigs or whatever, especially if they're on a farm, they live in their own shit. You know what I mean? Like they dirt and feces and everything, and that smell. Old food, it is horrific. That's what Marcus Weston looks like he smells like.
So they eat that too, so it all comes out twice.
Yeah. They shuffle around in the mud and find whatever they can find. That's what Marcus Weston looks like he smells like. And then his locks. I know that he has mites and lice and everything in those locks. His beard, Everything about him is unkempt. It's gross. So
Completely.
When he was arrested, his mom said she didn't recognize him. She said, "That ain't my son." That's what his mama said. She couldn't even recognize him.
That was definitely him. He would just move move the people around willy-nilly as he could. He had this thing about he homeschooled the kids. He basically created his own Bible. He took pieces of different religious texts to put them together, of course, to feed his own agenda. It was a handwritten Bible. He said that Jesus was a vampire, but of course he was Jesus, so hence the name Vampire of Fresno. So he wanted to be, revered to the kids, and so he was all that those kids knew. You know what I mean? That's the isolation part. So whatever he said must have been the truth to them, because he's all that they knew.
Yeah, what they didn't go on now.
Yeah, they call him Master Lord. So.
And then Elizabeth had been groomed by him when she was 8 years old. So it's not as if she could have easily broken away from him, because
that's all she knows
for so long.
That's all she knows.
He just got them to a point where they were so, because the older kids ended up working, and he had them so deeply, just deep in the cult thinking, that they would go to work and then bring him the check.
Even though he was on welfare, he ain't working no job.
No, because he got 17 kids he had to pay for. He probably got the back.
Yeah, food stamps. I mean, you think about it. He's getting food stamps. He's bringing, Elizabeth, not married to him. Well, they did marry, but I don't know if it was legal. But he married her when she was 14. But all kinds of benefits coming in, government benefits coming in, plus his kids are working. He physically abused all of the kids, male and female. One of his surviving sons says that what did the kid do? He got a spoonful of peanut butter, and Weston beat him for a couple of days. Like, he would beat him for like an hour or something a day, or something like that. But it was like for 30 days, he would just, that was the one punishment for getting a spoonful of peanut butter.
Without it, yeah.
So yeah. So part of what he was teaching the kids in their indoctrination was sexual abuse, teaching the girls oral copulation, all of those things. So that's a part of the breakdown and the grooming process. And of course, he committed other acts of incest, and his daughters had children for him. And his sister-in-law's kids had children for him as well. That.
Because
that
chromosomes are sure to get intertwined.
Yeah. So there's that. Okay, so let's talk about Elizabeth. I watched this little snippet. I think this was in like 2013 or something, or she's doing it, the first interview that she did. And I could be wrong on the year, but it was years after the murders. She was the first time that she had actually spoken out, and her kids were speaking out as well. And she said that an hour prior to the interview, was the first time that she had actually heard her kids talk about the abuse, and for her to know how bad it was. And I'm like, sis, you were there the whole time. Like, you were being abused as well. So there's no possible way that you did not know about the abuse or how bad it was, because you had years of it yourself before even having children by this man. So he did the same thing to these kids as he did to you. So how did you not know?
Or were they just so blinded? Or what? I mean, I don't know. I thought that too when because I saw quite a few of them. Like, you know, one where they show the brother, like his sons. Like in one video, they literally were like, "No, leave him alone. He's a good guy. Like, you know, he just cares about us. Like, he's this amazing dad." And then once reality sets in, they're kind of like, "He was horrible. That's not normal.
Right. That's not where it's supposed to happen.
That wasn't supposed to happen." So what do you think, like, she was like that? When I came to realization, they were just sick. Like, they were literally like, "Oh my God, like, I cannot believe we let this happen," which obviously wasn't nothing they can do. They don't know no better. They just raised them.
They were all being abused. I think for Elizabeth, it's like Stockholm syndrome, like you love your captor. You're already so broken that this is all that you know. But then as she got to be an adult and exposed to the outside world, you knew once you got exposed to work, you know, when she's working, know that this is not right. So I think that after he was arrested, it's kind of like, I'm going to separate myself from it because that's how I can protect myself. And my mental, maybe her spirit to say, I really didn't understand how bad it was. You know what I mean?
I get it.
So some of the kids, his nieces, the girls that were brought to the sister's house or whatever, they have children by Wesson. All of these kids are his. And they, at some point, they want to get away. They're like, they can't do this anymore. They want to get away. He makes a deal with them, a deal with the devil. They're gonna lose out. And he tells them, you guys can go, but you have to leave the kids.
That's a no for me.
What an impossible decision. Impossible decision. I leave and I have to stay here and be abused in this, and I'm possibly gonna die, or I can get away, which is, I think, might have been their idea was, I'm gonna get away and then we'll come back and get the kids. It didn't turn out that way. So they leave, the two girls, they leave. But here's the thing. They say that in that house with him, he had a suicide pact. That if the police ever came or any government agency came to get him, the kids, anybody, that the mothers of the children would kill them and then kill herself, and then he would kill himself. So the girls
kill themselves then.
No
one wasn't going to.
Nobody ever actually kills themselves.
He wasn't going to.
He needed to.
Nobody actually kills
he did
themselves.
Need to, but I knew when I was reading, I was like, he ain't for this.
Think about, we haven't talked about this person yet, but think about Andrea Yates. Andrea Yates said that she thought that the kids were possessed and the devil and blah, 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 blah. So you kill all 5 of your kids, but you don't kill yourself. The guy from California, late 2021, the surfer guy, who killed his 2 kids but didn't kill himself because the guy who was influenced by QAnon, they never killed themselves. The guy from Colorado, who killed his wife and his 3 girls, they never kill themselves. They never do. So he basically this is what happened. So the girls go back. They tell the police who Marcus Wesson is. They tell them that, hey, he's gonna do this. This is what he's been doing. You got to go help us go get our kids. You know, after a while, the Fresno police started to listen to them, so they take them to the home to go get the kids. He's like, okay, yeah, fine. Let me just go say bye, because they were going to arrest him. Let me go say bye.
Who let that happen for a black man? Well, wait, this is the early 2000s. As we know, ain't much. So you look. So just because when I read this part, this literally was my reaction. So he said, "Let me go back and say goodbye.
Let me go back into the house and say bye. Say goodbye."
So they were taking him on account that they were taking him on account that they knew for a fact that he was already molesting and hurting these kids. They took him because they knew it for a fact. But they decided to let him go back.
And how long did they let him stay in that house before they went in there?
It was like
an hour and a half.
Yeah.
They let that man stay in there for that long. And when he came out, he was, as my grandma and the old folks would say, full of blood. They went into the house and 9 bodies were stacked in the corner.
That picture just hurt my heart with that baby on top of
7 kids. 7 of those were kids.
I think that the police should be, they need to be a part of it, because why would you do that?
You watch the news reels from then, these grown men is just crying, talking about it.
So what they're saying is, what he said was that he didn't kill them. He said that, what is her name? I guess it would be Sabrina, if you pronounce it that way, that she killed the kids as a part of their suicide pact, and then she killed herself. All of the children, all 7 of the children from age 8 to age 1 were shot through the eye.
I mean, that's up close and personal.
Shot through the eye. And then he stacked the bodies in the corner.
He definitely, I'm sorry, but I think the cops should have something to do with it too.
Absolutely. They totally flipped that. You let that man go back in there. You should have said, hell no, you don't need to go back in there. They can say goodbye to you. They can all come outside.
And then my thing is, even if you did, an hour and a half.
It only take a few high by the most for
nobody. All these cops sitting outside. Nobody for a split second say, I don't think this is a little weird. We going on 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Not one person?
The cops said that they didn't hear any shots. There were at least 9. There was 9 shots. They didn't hear it, but witnesses in the area said that they did hear it. So you got all these cops
hear no shots, and they right there in front of the house.
Because they lying.
Jackie, I was telling Brandon that this story mirrors that the Fuji producer guy that had the extra wife. You remember him?
The who?
Yeah, the Fuji. I can't think of his name. The Fuji.
I know exactly who you're talking about. It's not Wycliffe, but it's that other one.
Okay, so I'm gonna look up Fuji producer.
I know who you're talking about.
Horror story. He got 90 years. His name was Aswad Allende.
I remember that story too.
He had his own Bible and all that shit.
Yeah. And he also
she don't really cuss, so it's serious if she said cuss word.
Yeah, she and
even Jen was laughing because she was like, she don't cuss. No, she's serious.
He did have his own Bible. He had incestuous relationships with his daughter, and he produced children by his oldest daughter.
Oh, Jesus.
And the beatings, and I the first time I heard about that story, I think I was watching on Evil Lives Here on Discovery.
That's a good show.
Yeah, I love that. Evil Lives Here. The old ones, the new ones, I don't like the new episodes.
Oh, I started from the beginning, so I'm on the old ones.
Yeah, the new ones, the storytelling is a bit off. Like, it's not. Same thing with American Monster. It's different. American Monster is not like it was the first 6 seasons. So, yeah, that's something different. But I first was watching Evil Lives Here, and it was the daughter telling the story and how, he started the sexual abuse, but also the other physical abuse of the other children and her, not allowing them to, like, being really harsh with their studies. And, it's like a formula that these kind of people use, in their abuse of of their kids. So Sabrina was 25 for Marcus Weston, the people that he's responsible for their life. Sabrina was 25, Elizabeth 17, Illabel 8, Aviv 7, Jonathan 7, Ethan 4, Marcy 1, Jeva 1, and Sedona 1. All shot through the eye. If you've seen footage, you can see them bringing coffins and body bags out of that house. So he had coffins in the house already. Like, he is
sleeping in them.
Prepared.
He had them sleeping in the coffins.
Like vampires.
Do you know what kind of?
Yeah, like vampires. When he was teaching them his stuff, he bought coffins for them to sleep in because he wanted them to really believe that, like, vampire was a part of, like, who they are.
I also think part of that, the whole coffin thing, is letting them know that I have the power over your life and your death. You know what I mean? I can't. This is just crazy. So they arrest him. When they arrest him, everybody's horrified at the person that comes out of this house. It's just defies logic that someone even looks like this. When he goes to trial, he, like we said, he blamed Sabrina, who was also killed, said that she committed all the murders and then committed suicide. The murder weapon was found with her. Her DNA was on the gun. So that kind of proved his point. But this is what happened.
Yeah, you probably gonna say it. This is a suicide mission. I was gonna be
right. So he, because the girls, the nieces, had already told the police that he's got a suicide pact. Now, strangely enough, and I don't know if we talk. Let me come back to. No, I gotta talk about that. Elizabeth wasn't there, and her kids weren't there.
How was that working?
I just find it strange.
She took the kids, though. He had a very strict policy that them kids are supposed to stay while they gone. That was something. I'm like, what made her take her kids that day?
That Elizabeth and none of her kids were present.
Maybe he told her, take your kids.
You know what? Maybe so. Kind of like let my legacy live on, since y'all are the original. Maybe it was. That kind of makes sense.
Or maybe she just had an inkling. Maybe she knew. Like, I'm gonna make sure you guys go to work today.
Well, they knew that something was brewing because they had been trying to get their kids. So it was an ongoing situation that finally came to head.
Yeah. So it's just very ironic that she survived.
They just didn't just show up one day and say, give me my kids. Like, they have been trying to get their kids.
Right.
They had been trying. He had just denied them a few times. They had tried. They had tried a few times.
The police came.
Right.
I think that he did this because they have been trying to, he's like, you know what, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how powerful I am. I'm going to show you how I have dominion over life. I'm Lord, I'm Christ, the vampire kind of thing. And he did that. So what the jury ended up doing, what the jury ended up doing was they said that it was unlikely that he actually pulled the trigger given the physical evidence that was tied to Sabrina. But they said that he was still responsible for the death.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like Charles Manson. He never pulled a trigger. He never wielded a knife in the LaBianca murders. But you're responsible for those deaths, which is the reason why Charles Manson was on death row. They convict him of all 9 murders, plus like 14 counts of rape and molestation. Because all of those nieces and daughters were molested by him or his children who he further molested and raped.
They must got him hid out in well, I don't know how bad jail is in California or prison is in California. I really don't know, but I can tell you in Texas, he'll be getting a broomstick every day.
I'm quite sure on death row is a different pod.
Yeah, I know they're gonna separate him from. I know they're gonna separate him from Pop. I know they are.
And further separated because and you know what, since death row you are really on lockdown for 23 hours, so you have less chance of interaction with other inmates unless you got like an inmate that feeds, is coming around with the food or whatever. But he's been on death row since 2005.
Too damn long.
He's in
his
there 70s now. He was born in 1946, so he's in his 70s, 75, 74, 75. So he will likely die in prison, but not by lethal injection or
just old age
or gas chamber. I think it's lethal injection. I don't think they do the gas chamber anymore.
It should.
Well, they ain't killed nobody in California on the death row since when? Didn't they outlaw?
They did outlaw the death penalty, but then they brought it back. But I think there's a moratorium on it right now.
I wonder who over there still putting money on his books.
Oh,
you have some people who are like morbid chasers. Think about all the women who the Richard Ramirez and Charles Manson got married while in prison. Lots of followers, people who write them letters, people who are fascinated. I mean, we're fascinated by the morbid, but not enough because we suspended our prison ministries. So not enough to put money on their books or write anybody, of course. But there are those people who have a morbid fascination with this type of thing and will put money on their books. If these people write any books or things like that, or have art, like John Wayne Gacy was an artist, his artworks are seriously sought after. If they're trash as far as artistic ability goes, but people seek them. When we talked about Ed Gein, they had to burn down his house. 2, they had to move his tombstone and keep it in secret because people were trying to steal it or take chunks of it. So, people have morbid fascination. So I'm quite sure someone is still putting money on his books. And, I think as far as I've heard, death row inmates are treated fairly well. They're isolated.
Their cells are bigger.
Right. So a lot of, that's actually in probably the best place to be,
especially California prison, because they insanely crowded. They got people all sleeping in the gym and shit. So yeah, he got him he can spread his legs out.
Yeah. So when it comes to a crime like this, what do you think the public responsibility is? Because there's neighbors. people, you have neighbors, there's 1,000 kids in that house. You don't see any of those kids going to school. Like as a part of the community, is it your obligation to call CPS, to call the police and to go have them check? Or is it a mind your business type thing?
A lot of people are more of a mind your business type thing because they don't want to feel like if I call them and then I'm wrong, then it looks, you know what I mean? Then they'll feel guilty. So, but I also think that you have to be smart enough to be able to judge if it's time to call CPS or not.
Right.
If you know them babies ain't going to school, okay. Because it's possible they're getting homeschooled. But if you don't ever see them ever, that's not normal. And you notice in that house, if there's 20 children, that's weird, that's off. And I'm quite sure a smell was coming from it. I'm 1,000% sure of that. That some type of smell had to be coming from that house. Because I'm sure he ain't letting them babies do all that.
I mean, he definitely wasn't bathing.
You just have to be smart and pay attention, maybe not the first thing you see, but definitely if you are curious or think something is off, you definitely pay a little bit more attention than you did before.
Right. Think about the Turpin family in California, in Paris. They had like 6, 7 kids. The oldest was like in her 20s and she was 90 pounds when they went in there. They lived in a regular ass house. And the neighbors were like the kids, but again, they could have been homeschooled. The kids only come outside at night, and when they see people, they scurry and they run it. Like, you have to think something's weird about that.
Yes, that would be odd to me. Like, why are they running like you?
You're like, why are you doing this? And then the way that the Turpin thing came out was one of the girls was allowed to go to school, and somehow she got her hands on a cell phone. She was allowed to go to school, so that's when the thing started opening up, like, I'm getting a little freedom, I don't want to be here. And she got out one night and ran and then called the authorities. So, and again, the neighbors didn't say anything. Like when you watch the interviews, everybody's like, yeah, they were weird, and the kids only came outside at night for like 15 minutes. We never saw the kids in the daytime. First of all, when a grown-ass man in his 40s or 50s still has a haircut like Davy Jones from the Monkees.
All you gotta do is make an anonymous tip.
Yes, that's it. That's
about the haircut or the kids. Which one?
No. He got a weird new haircut. He definitely doing something up in there.
He looked just like Davy Jones, and it was the long one. He looked like Peter. You remember Peter used to have that long bob?
Oh Lord.
So you knew something wasn't together. I just, it's a really slippery slope when it comes to what do you do as a member of the community? Like, do you have an obligation to report? Because sometimes you don't know what you're reporting. It could be a situation where the homeschooling and you put CPS in their life and they never go away.
Especially if you don't want to call no police or no black folks if you ain't sure, because you know that CPS gonna come in there and rip them kids away. Like you almost have to have extra.
Yeah, you have to have evidence. Like you gotta have a file.
Yeah, because you
gotta start paying attention. Okay, today they did this. Well, why would they do that? Like that's so odd.
Well, that baby done had them clothes on for 3 weeks or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, she got some marks on her body. I can see that she's black and blue all the time. Stuff. I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
I mean, you just don't want your black folks just have a fear of anybody in a government position or police or anything. So I think we're a little hesitant to call because you don't want them coming in the neighborhood and possibly snatching some kids away from somebody who just poor and can't, ain't got it.
Right.
Right. But I don't know. I think, and again, I've never been in a situation where this was something that I've been exposed to personally. But I just think that as many kids as was in there, first of all those kids it's not safe for all those kids to be in that house like that. It's not safe. It's not sanitary. I just think maybe there was some signs of people just like, just like, I don't want to get involved kind of thing. And then the biggest flub was the police letting him go back in that house, knowing what the girls had told, the nieces had told them. And
no one dropped the ball worse than they did.
Right. And they've never really admitted to that.
No.
It's never, they talk, what they talk about, especially in the interviews, is how horrible it was, the mental effect it had on the police officers to go in the house and see those babies, which of course I can imagine, because me watching one of the videos and looking and seeing the shoe of one of the little babies was like
heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was really, really bad. So I can imagine that part, but they never should have let that man go back into that house. Never.
And like I said, even if you come up with the most bizarre reason why, even if you come up with that, an hour and a half.
Yeah, I need to go get my shoes. Where they at? Let me go get them. I'll go get the shoes. I'll go get your shirt. Have the kids come outside.
And even if he had weapons, did they know weapons?
Well, they
already knew about the. Didn't they know about the suicide pact? You already know about the suicide pact. Why would you let him go in there?
I mean, they don't. Anything in your house is a weapon. A kitchen knife is a weapon. So when you serve a warrant, this is why. And I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where anybody served a warrant and they came in, but what they do, they break down, they knock on the door, please. But they don't really knock to say, "Hey, open the door." They're not coming in. And whoever's in that house, they round up everybody. The goldfish, the dog, granny, grandpa, Uncle Bob in the back. Everybody they round up, put them in a central location because they want to account for everybody. Hey, I don't have a jacket. Where's your jacket? We'll go get it. Because what they don't want is for you to go back in the house and have weapons and then there's a shootout. They don't want you to go back in there and harm yourself or try to harm anybody else. So that was clearly, I don't know if it's misconduct or whatever it is. It was all bad by the police. So y'all are there to serve a warrant or to grab somebody and you let them go in the house. That's on them. All 9 deaths. I get that Mark Weston is responsible because it was his actions and all of that caused the suicide. He made the suicide pact. He caused the situation where the police had to be there. But this has to ride on the Fresno police. And I know we're going to get Blue Lives Matter people. I'm going to get it. Go ahead and leave your comments. No, I'm not a police officer, but whatever.
I have police officers in my family. I have police officers in my family, and they still drop the ball.
That's just bottom line. They were wrong. All right, y'all. That's our show for today. We're glad that you stayed with us for, through last week and, our injury. What we need to have, how when you have like a warehouse job and they have the signs on the thing and they say how many days without injury? We need one of those.
We really do.
We need one.
Wait, don't forget the messages because what you gonna do on the thing.
Okay, I'll do that. But in the meantime, y'all, what did you say, Brady? Get a cup of coffee and have a good night.
Yeah, I think so.
Drink some coffee and have a good night, y'all.
Amazing.
Yeah, drink some coffee and have a good night. We will see y'all next week. Good night, y'all.